A lot of similarity. The big difference is the venue, in that this is a modern hotel and diggy palace, where Jaipur is in an old 18th century sort of haveli. So it has a slightly different feel, and we have kind of Rajasthani tents, but otherwise it's very much similar kind of crowd. I think slightly smarter crowd you have here. I think you've got more of the establishment than we get. We get more students and sort of enthusiastic kids. I get the feeling that the kind of all grand Karachi seems to be here. Everyone, lots of society folk, but it's lovely. No, I'm having a lovely time. It surprises me every day, and when I stop being surprised by it, I might move on and go somewhere else. But the reason I think I still remain here and why I'm still writing about it is that I still don't understand what's going on, really. It's every day something strange happens. And the story continues to move on. It's I mean, at different times in the 25 years I've been here, I've been a foreign correspondent, a art historian, a travel writer, and there's so many different ways, it seems to me, to be interested in this country. There's so many different ways to take it on and study it and play with it and try and understand it. But I'm no nearer understanding it than I was 25 years ago. I really live in India. I lived in India 10 months a year. I have a house in London, but I'm only there June, July when it's really hot in Delhi. And I am what I think can be frustrating on a personal basis, but which is useful for a writer. I'm both an insider and an outsider. I no longer see things with the eye of the naive who came and wrote City of Jinns. But I will never be Indian or Pakistani, and I will always at some level be a Brit. And this has pros and cons. There are all sorts of references I miss. My Urdu or Hindi is not as good as it should be. But on the other hand, I see things that people born here don't see. It's too ordinary for them, and you never see your own landscape as clearly as an outsider sees it. And I think for a writer that can be useful, but personally it can be surprising. Personally it can be upsetting to be never quite an insider. And 25 years on, still people come up and say, "Is this your first trip to Pakistan?" Or, you know. I think Pakistan is, I mean, at the moment there's a very simplistic duality in the reporting of this region. India is the big success story with a huge growing economy. Pakistan is the basket case. In reality, of course, as we all know, it's a much more complicated picture, that India has many problems. It has more starving children than the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. It has a huge insurgency. But the story about the growing economy is true. And the Indian economy grows every year by the size of the Pakistani economy. It puts on the size of the Pakistani economy every year. And so there is truth in that story. Likewise, Pakistan is by no means the basket case that it's portrayed in the West. I mean, looking around here, this is a literary festival with as well-heeled an audience as you'd see in any festival anywhere in the world. But Pakistan does have big problems, particularly the nearer you go to the northwest frontier and the Afghan border. And it has big political problems, as we all know, and the role of the army is not what it should be in a democratic state, and there are many unresolved tensions. So, but again, as a writer, as a journalist, that's an attraction to try and work out what's going on here. And just hearing, I was relieved to hear Anatole Lieven on a panel this afternoon say that he doesn't know what's going on either. So it's the same feeling. Not particularly consciously, but yes, you do at some level. And I find, for example, that, I mean, since 9 Lives, my audience has been now, 9 Lives sold more copies in South Asia than it did in the West. There are now very large markets in India and Pakistan. I mean, a successful book here can sell 15,000 copies, and a successful book in India can sell 55,000, 60,000 copies. And that's a completely new situation. And I think I do explain less and write more consciously for a South Asian audience than I would have done a few years ago. I very clearly, a few years ago, thought I was writing for a British audience. Not only not an Indian audience, but not an American audience either. But now, I mean, obviously, my books are read all over the place, but I think I do have in mind, I feel I need to explain South Asia less and less. I put it that way.